Hi guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, suddenly it got hot here in southern Italy and it's cloudy today, so it's hot and humid. I've seen it like this once before, a few Junes ago, where all the wind just stopped and boy, it got cloudy and it got hot and and here we are again. So obviously that reminds me of you guys and your trips to Rome. I've been all over the Italy websites and things like that and Facebook groups, and I see a lot of itineraries for people coming to Rome, and it's going to be a really, really fun time for you guys. But there are a few things you really have to keep in mind to really sort of salvage your trip to Rome. There are some things that if you didn't know about these and didn't plan for them, they could really ruin your trip. So let's go over a few of them. First of all, in July and August, even June many times, it's hot in Rome. It's hot and it's humid. I remember one time I went there with my sister and I bought one of those all-day trolley passes. You know, it's a paper card, a good-sized card, you know, pretty rigid. And by halfway through the day, I had it in my back pocket. First of all, don't do that if you're sweating. I could not even get it in the machine. It just turned to mush. I had to buy a new one. That's how hot it was. We were sweating all day long. So make sure that you have clothes for that. Make sure you have your sunscreen and everything else. But dress in layers and then take them off because it's hot. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is do all of your outdoor things, the Colosseum, the Palatine Hill, all of the things you're going to do outdoors, do them in the early hours of the morning. And then have a nice lunch somewhere and then take a nap in the afternoon. It's going to be too hot to be out and running around. Or, you know, if you're not a nappy person, you can go look at the catacombs. They are beautifully fresh in the summer. I was down there one summer. We were hot as heck and went down there and it was lovely. Also, you know, there are certain churches, there's underground ruins and things like that. Go see those in the middle of the day. Or the museums, they're usually air conditioned. So I would do that. And then in the evening, stay up late and wander around. Rome is absolutely magical in the evening. You don't only want to see it during the day. One caveat though, make sure you have bug spray. One time I was eaten alive over by the Spanish Steps. I'm one of those delicious people and mosquitoes love me. So make sure you protect yourself from them. My second tip is bring a water bottle. Now, it doesn't have to be full because all over Rome are those little fountains. Now, don't confuse them with the Trevi Fountain or the fountain attractions. You are not supposed to fill up your water bottle or do anything weird in those particular locations. The Trevi Fountain especially. I think there was a tourist last year that walked in there and went to fill up her fountain, which was a really brutta figura. You don't want to do that. And you could get arrested. But all over Rome, oh, do you hear the thunder? Okay, it's going to start up pretty soon. Exciting. Anyway, all over Rome are these little fountains you see everywhere. And most of the time, they're just gushing water. And coming from California, we're like, oh, but they come from springs or whatever. And they're always available. They're potable. They're cool and refreshing. Not only can you fill up your water bottles, but you can splash it on your face if you get too hot. And they're really nice to have around. So bring your water bottle. And you don't necessarily, like I said, have to have it full all the time. My other tip is buy one of those cheap paper parasols. I love those things. First of all, they look great in your photos. I have a pink one, and I just look at the photos of Rome when I was there with my pink parasol, and they're just so great. Big pop of color, lovely. Plus, they're nice to have your own shade with you at all times. Like I said, Palatine Hill, even in the morning, it can be blistering hot, so bring your shade with you. Also, bring those little hand fans as well. You can get them. There's vendors all over the place. You can get them there. Bring some from home if you have to. But those two things will save you and make you feel a lot more comfortable in the heat of Rome. Also, go ahead and use those hop-on, hop-off buses. I know people just, the seasoned travelers, oh, don't use those. You got to look like a tourist. Well, you are a tourist. And so am I when I go to Rome. And I love those darn things because they have these circuits. They have different circuits. And it'll take you to these attractions here. And you hop off and you go see the attraction. And you wait for the next one and hop back on. It's a brilliant concept. And frankly, I love it. I do not want to be walking those cobblestone streets or those heated asphalt in Rome in summer. You're just going to love that. Plus, you can go on top if you really don't care about looking like a tourist. And I don't because I am one. I love to go on the top because driving through the streets of Rome from the top of those things, it's really pretty cool. I think you're going to love it if you try it. But I love those little buses and nobody can sway me. I don't care how many people try to shame me for my addiction to the hop-on, hop-off buses. Now, another final thing, don't buy any food or anything, souvenirs or whatever, near the attractions if you can avoid it. You're going to pay top dollar for this stuff. And the food, I'm sorry, is going to be kind of mass produced. You know, it's not going to be as good. It'll probably be better than Olive Garden, of course, because it is in Italy. But it's not going to be the same as if you go in a few streets, go in away from the crowds, look for a restaurant that does not have a menu in English, look for a place packed with local Italians, and go in there and eat. You're going to have a traditional, really authentic Italian experience. I'm sure the food is going to be spectacular because to date, I have never had a bad meal in Rome except for one near the train station, which was not run by Italians. Yeah. Anyway, avoid that. Don't go to the places near the attractions or the train stations or anything else. Go somewhere else where everybody is not, and you're going to have a great meal. Now, my final thing, street vendors. Okay, first of all, don't expect any great, sterling silver or deals or anything from them. If you like trinkets, and I do, and if you like to interact with them, sometimes I do, and if they're nice, go ahead and buy something from them, but don't be obligated. You know, there's a lot of tricks that they have. One of them is coming up and snapping a bracelet on your wrist and saying, it's a gift, and then you feel that social obligation that feels so icky and manipulative that you have to buy some junk that he has that you really don't want. Just avoid that at a plague. If somebody snaps a bracelet on you, take it off and hand it back and say thank you very much, and then be firm but distant and polite. And that'll be fine. He'll just go on to the next guy. There's also a bunch of other scams that we saw in Florence. There's several videos all over the place going over those scams. Look for our videos on the scams in Florence because we saw a few of them that we thought were really kind of manipulative and not good at all, not nice. So just be aware of that and avoid them. Just walk on. If somebody comes up and tries to talk to you, don't worry about being impolite. Just walk on. They'll find somebody else. So I think that's it for now. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know. But yay about Rome. Oh, another thing. Don't pack too many things into one day. Okay. This is your bonus tip. When I was working as a travel agent, I had this family and they wanted to go to Greece or something. And Greece is big, right? The islands, they're all over the place. And they had this itinerary where they wanted to see everything. Physically, it was physically impossible. But they also had elderly parents. And at one point I said, look, are you trying to kill your parents? Because that's what you're going to do if you try to drag them on this itinerary. By that time, I'd sort of, had enough. And I was ready to waste them anyway as clients because it was ridiculous. There was no way it was going to come off. So, they didn't really like that, but it was true. These are elderly people. It's hot. It's a lot of walking. They're going to be jet lagged. And probably, even if you're young, you're going to be feeling the effects of jet lag too. So don't book yourself too tight. Save something for the next trip. You're going to be happy that you really had the time to really focus on these beautiful, beautiful things and really give them all your attention without thinking about making a taxi ride or a quick bus or somewhere to another location to see something else because you got to see it all. Don't make that mistake. It's not fun and you're going to be exhausted. Enjoy what's in front of you. So you guys have a great time in Rome. I know you're going to love it because I always love it and I go to Rome often. And if you follow these tips, you're going to have a much, much better and more comfortable time. Have fun, guys.